and he was just watching. And I remember I got out of the park and I got home. I didn't tell anybody about it, where I went. I just used the excuse. I saw the store and I stopped in to, look around, see what they had. Because back then I went to antique stores and found old comic books and old comic book action figures and stuff. I used that excuse. And I remember I got on Facebook when I got home. And I typed in his name. I looked him up on Facebook. And I found out he had kids with Beth's daughter. And he was still connected with them and talked with them and all that. And the next day, he blocked me on Facebook and sent me a message. Don't come back here. Don't come back to Blue Jay Hill. And it was just like the weirdest fucking thing I've ever experienced in my life. And to this day, I look up everything on there from time to time, sort of keep tabs, talk with old friends. And I remember one day I got a message from Steven. Steven was Alicia's brother. And I asked him about Adam. What happened to Adam? Where did he go? And he said, after I left, Adam got attacked by, somebody. And him and his mom and his sister and brother got out of the park and just dropped off the face of the earth. And it was the weirdest thing that happened. And I will never in my life go back to that place, because then people are fucking crazy. And it's weird though. But recently, I remember I talked to my dad about it. Me and him never really talked about Blue Jay. And I remember he said one day he said I went to that place. I was like, Blue Jay? He goes, yeah, I drove past it. Fucking weirdos. He goes, I drove past there and I saw them. I just gave them the finger and kept on driving. And he said, he goes, I ran into them in the store before I gave him the finger. He goes, that whole family was a cult, I was like, what? He goes, it's a cult. He goes, think about it. She's the leader of the family, the Mansons. Put two and two together. I was like, you mean to tell me that they were a cult? He goes, yeah, think about it. She bought them cigarettes, alcohol, pot. She had them call her mom. They did everything she said, listened to everything that she said. They were a fucking cult, dude. And I remember he said it with such a straight face that I just was like, holy shit. They were. He goes, yeah. A family cult. He goes, how do you think they have an old church van? They drive around together. They follow her into the store. What do you think happened there? He's like, they tried to recruit your sister. She wasn't a dumbass. Once she saw the red flags, we all had to get out of there. So, it was just one of those weird things that happened. And I checked my messages on Facebook, and one day I went through messages and I got like a message request, and it was from Adam, and he sent me a message. He wrote, "What's up, old friend? I'm fine. I live in Wyoming now." He goes, "Hope you're doing great in life. You're a friend to me for life. I'll see you one day, my old friend." And it was kind of like a touching message. And he sent me a photo. It was him, his wife, and his kids. He goes, "I got a family," and it was really great to hear from him. And I responded. I wrote, "I'm doing great." I go, "I got a podcast. I call it Catwoman." Because you knew I was a fan of Batman. And I wrote, "I got a show and stuff." And I wrote, "What happened? Why did you leave?" He goes, "Once I knew you had to leave." He goes, "We had to get out of here. We had to get out of town. There's nothing for us here." He said, "Clark's a piece of shit." We all knew that. But he goes, "I came back to Missouri." I was like, "Yeah?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Alicia's funeral." I was like, "I didn't hear about that." He goes, "It was just something small and private, and we just had to come here." He goes, "You wouldn't believe who showed up at it." I was like, "Who?" He goes, "That two-faced lying piece of shit showed up." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." I ran into him like a couple of years ago. He goes, "Yeah. Can you believe he married that bitch's daughter?" It was just sort of like a funny reminiscence of talking about things. And I said to him, like, "Don't ever come." I was like, "You're a friend to me. I want to give you this. I want to say this." He goes, "All right." I was like, "Don't ever come back to Missouri." I said to him, like, if I could get out of Missouri, I would. I was like, shit, we nearly moved to Florida. We nearly had a hurricane. I would have rather dealt with that. And he goes, "I ain't gonna leave there." I was like, "So Wyoming?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You don't believe this?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Think about trying polygamy." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, we're Mormons now." I was like, "Don't." That's what I said. I'm like, "Don't." He's like, "Why?" I was like, "It's weird, it's strange, don't do it." So, that's what happened. It had a sad start, but it had a good ending to the story. My advice for people who ever want to go there, just don't go to Blue Jay Hill. It's not a good place. Even though people left there, people changed. But those people didn't. I never went back there because of that. How weird he looked at me as I drove off out of the neighborhood. The thing that always bothered me with Clark was I considered him a friend, even though he was kind of a weasel. I had sympathy for him. I had pity for him. Because I always thought, like, he didn't fit in, so try to be his friend. But I kind of knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to be part of something. He wanted to be a part of them. And it always bothered me about that. Like, the whole thing of them saying, calling her mom, just, it always bothered me. I remember how they all hung out. It's like 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday, and they all smoked and drank beer and always done weird things. Something about them, it was just weird. I mean, even the story that I heard, like rumors in the neighborhood of her watching people have sex in her house. Like, I heard rumors of that. I didn't even know if it was true. Because she wanted grandchildren. She wanted to have her family tree grow. Like, that always was really weird. And I didn't know what to think of it. And wanting my sister to be a part of her family. And yeah, looking at it, they were a cult. They were the white trash Mansons. You know. And it was funny though how my dad described it. You know, saying she drove in a church van. Those kids followed her into the store. And he goes, I don't even know how the fuck she could afford anything for all of them. But I remember me and him talked about it. It's like, well, you know, she probably has them working, and she collects a retirement check, and you know, she collects all the money and distributes to who gets who. You know, I was like, think about it. Like, I was like, shit, she probably has all of them living in the house. But I remember Steven, Alicia's brother, said to me that Clark's mom sold him that house. And his name's on the title, and Beth's name is the co-signer of the title of that home too. And it just made me wonder, like, did this woman manipulate and control people? I mean, the way she got a lot of those teenagers to do what she says, listen to her advice, listen to her guidance, it just made me wonder. It just always made me wonder. Like, did she weaseled her way into the Weasel's home? It just always made me wonder. It always bothered me. How naive and stupid he was, but one thing that always bothered me, and the one thing that always scared the crap out of me, I always knew it, was when I remember my sister had her dog live with us when we were living in the wooded area.